Hey everybody, this is Spencer with the Itch Network, and we're here to talk about the top 10 most forgettable Pokemons from Gen 1. I'm actually playing through Pokemon Red right now, so you'll probably see a couple Pokemon-inspired videos, and this will be my first one. I just saw a couple Pokemon here and there, and I was like, oh yeah, that was a thing. I probably just caught it and moved on with my life when I was a kid. But it's been a lot of fun, and yeah, some of these are just so crazy. It's like and they're not bad per se. Like, I'm not necessarily saying they suck. I just think you look at them and you move on to other things, to bigger and better things. I do have some evolutions in here, so there's no rule on which ones I can exclude. I just chose to keep them all in. If I just forgot that they existed until now, then I threw them in there. They're not in any particular order either. These are all just that I just grabbed the 150 and then looked at 10 and said, okay, these are the ones that I don't really remember very well. Let's get started. First one is Paris. He's like a little insectoid, spore. He's got like mushroom kind of things going on. And that's the crazy thing about some of these is that they have characteristics that are interesting and that are different, especially one of them. Man, one of them really surprised me. They have special characteristics, but for some reason, they just get lost in the shuffle, at least for me. Paris, yeah, you meet him in the caves at the beginning, actually, pretty right after you beat Brock. You go through my brain is saying Mount Doom, but somehow I don't think it's Mount Doom that you go through. So, yeah, he turns into Parasect. Parasect is kind of cool. He's got like the big hump, the huge mushroom. That's really neat. But Paris doesn't really stand out, just like a little lame thing. I think he was in the show. I vaguely remember him being in the show. Ash may have even caught him. I don't remember. See, I just don't remember him that well. I remember him being in the show for a second because he scratched his little thing. Then there's a Mount Moon. That's what it was. The next one I have here is Venonat, which is like right after Parasect in the list. Venonat turns into Venomoth, which is really cool. I had that Pokemon card and I really liked it, like visually, because I didn't even play the game in the cards. I didn't play it for like the actual game. I just collected, and I liked that card. But Venonat is the little ball guy who isn't quite a Venomoth yet. He's a gnat. He's cute. Like he's a cute buggish creature, but he's definitely like completely forgettable. Like who remembers Venonat? He's got like the red eyes and the purple body, and it's again one of those Pokemon I just don't remember even catching. I must have snagged him. Maybe I evolved him to Venomoth and then tucked him away. That's probably what happened. I don't remember him whatsoever. I don't think I ever used him. Do people use any of these guys? I don't know. Like in their competitive play of Red that still goes on. I don't know why it would, but maybe it does. I don't know. The next one is an ironic one. It's Golduck. The reason actually might be more personal than other people. He might be more memorable to some people, but my favorite Pokemon was Psyduck. I loved Psyduck, even in the cartoons, especially in the cartoons. He was so much character. He's always having headaches. He'd always like use his psychic powers at the last minute. But in general, was just a complete idiot and would come out when he wasn't supposed to. And he was in trouble with Misty. And I like that. So the fact that there's a Pokemon called Golduck where you evolve the Psyduck into, it's like, why waste your time? You have the best Pokemon already. I mean, I get why Golduck is the way he is. He's like, because obviously Psyduck is a goofball and he evolves and he becomes a serious competitor, an angry guy, a strong character. But I don't like Golduck. I like Psyduck, and I want him to always be Psyduck. So I think I may have had a Golduck, and then made sure I kept the Psyduck. Maybe I caught two or something. Kept the Psyduck just because I liked him so much. Golduck, who needs him? Farfetch'd is the next one. You can get him in a trade. That's the only way you can get him in the game. But why have Farfetch'd? You have freaking Pidgeotto probably at that time, but Pidgeot eventually. Why pick Farfetch'd? I don't know. Is there a reason? I'm not like the expert at the games. I played them a lot, but I'm not like a statistical expert. So maybe there's a reason to have farfetch'd. But I always said, why would I have that piece of crap when I could have like the best, like a bird beast in Pidgeot? So never leveled him up, just grabbed him and shoved him in the PC. Never even looked at him. He's got like a little thing, like he's carrying like a stick in his mouth. Got a weird name, like farfetch'd, like unlikely. Unlikely I'll remember him. Maybe they knew that was going to happen already. Sorry about that. The next two are one is the Pokemon, then one's the evolution. Seal and Dugong. It's a seal. It's got a horn on his head. This one, they're just being lazy. There's a couple Pokemon that they're just being lazy. Pidgey included. I mean, it's clearly a pigeon. And this is clearly a seal. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. Like, you can have it just be an animal. I'm comfortable with it, but I'm not going to remember it. Like, these two Pokemon, like, what are they good for? They could probably learn Hyper Beam. Dugong. I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing. The next one is another water type. It's Shelder. Shelder is probably one of the more memorables of this list, but still, like, I remember Cloyster really well because it's like right after it is Ghastly, and it looks like Ghastly. It looks like there's a Ghastly inside of it. I think that's a rumor that that's what it is, but Shelder also has eyes, but not the same way. So the Cloyster looks really cool. I'd be terrified to see a Cloyster. The Shelder looks like a damn shell. Looks really worthless. I never liked Shelder. Never used him. Very, very forgettable Pokemon. It's just a shell. The next one is the biggest surprise to me because I was replaying it and thinking of all these Pokemon, and this one never came up for some reason. And it should. And that is Lickitung. Like, Lickitung was in the show. I remember him licking one of the Pokemon. Was it Cubone or something? Or Pikachu even, maybe? He licked one of them and they were like, ugh, because that's the move, lick. But it's got this huge tongue, like Paul Stanley or something. And it's pink and it's kind of cute, but it's like really stocky. And I should remember it, but I don't. It's weird. Like, that seems like a pretty memorable Pokemon, but for some reason it's not coming to me very well. That one you would get from a trade as well in Red. You can only get it with a trade. Never used it. I don't know if it was any good. I don't think it was. But yeah, it should be more memorable than it is, but I don't ever think about it. The next one, if there was a ranking, this would be number 1. And I don't know why, because it is kind of a unique one. Tangela. Anybody remember Tangela? It had all the little squigglies and the feet and the eyes. Tangela to me is the most obscure Pokemon ever. Like, who used Tangela? I never used Tangela. It was very unique looking and weird, but I assumed it would be bad. It just has that look like, oh, that Pokemon's gonna be shit. Like, there's no way it can do anything. So, rule it out. I don't remember it in the show. I don't think it was ever in the show. Maybe it was. Probably in the background somewhere. I don't think it ever did anything. Maybe I'll have an all Tangela run on my next playthrough. And then the last one on here is Sea King. Again, it's kind of them being lazy and just making a fish. The only reason that Goldeen is more... It's because Sea King is the evolution of Goldeen. But Goldeen I remember from Smash Bros. All the time. You'd get him from the Pokeball and he'd be like, Goldeen, Goldeen, Goldeen. You just jump around. Whereas Sea King is the evolution that wasn't in anything. And actually, I think in the game it was kind of strong, actually, Sea King. But for whatever reason, to me, I don't have any recollection of it. I probably, again, evolved it and then dropped it. So, that's my list. I realize this list is going to be very personal because, you know, again, like Golduck, Psyduck was my favorite, so I didn't like Golduck. So you might like Golduck and Farfetch'd, and can't imagine you'd like Seal. But if that's the case, put it in the comments below. I want to hear about it. What are your most forgettable Pokemon? You can list all 10, you can list the first one, you can list all 150. they're all forgettable, who are they? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.